Hey everyone, this is Jamie, and today I'm actually going to address a trending topic. So, the internet is kind of like blowing up about Lana Del Rey, and a lot of people have opinions, and in general, it's quite surprising that it's a very controversial time right now when we should be talking about Corona, and focusing on specifically how it impacts the world, how can we survive this, how can we make the world a better place, how can we help others. And in the end, we have, like, for instance, like Jeffree Star completely imploding, and we have Lana, who, on the opposite, in my eyes, called to attention something which actually should be talked about more. I don't know how it is in the US or in the UK, but in Portugal here, we had a massive sort of program and a lot of concerns when it came to domestic violence in this time of isolation, because you can be caught as a trans person with your parents, you can be a woman in a troubled marriage or a man in a troubled marriage, and your abusers can be of any gender, and or you might be an abuser yourself, and sometimes we need to notice this pattern. And it's not like everyone walks around knowing these things, how to spot an abuser, and there's not everyone like majors in psychology to understand everything. So what I like about Lana is that she openly called out that her story is relevant just as anyone else's. I could go on a rant, but I think we need to instead address Lana's voice and talk about victims. Like, for instance, I don't want to go into depth, but I've had abusive relationships in the past, and it's not like Lana was there when they were happening, but Lana sheds light onto them, because sometimes you can't get out. Sometimes it takes a while to get out. And people don't understand that. And I found it quite strange that people idolize Beyonce when there's Lana, and they both have troubled relationships. And in general, the whole Beyonce situation is super, super messy, if you ask me. But we give light to her, and everyone's allowing her to speak her mind, to twist anything, and be a successful singer. And then there's Lana, who is also a successful singer, but who speaks in a different light of this. And also there's obviously the question of, I understand that in the US it works differently, but coming from Eastern Europe, I just wanted to say that you can't just put white people into this big bowl. For instance, what about Jewish people? What about Slavic people? Like, if you're gonna go addressing things about racism, you should also look at European history with World War II, for instance. But hey, let's pretend that's not happening, right? So, there's nothing new about that. And I know I said I wouldn't go on the rant, but I just want to flick some points. Because this is the thing I discuss on the daily with other Eastern European trans guys, or other trans guys, I have to call them out that the reality is different, and they understand that their reality is really harsh, but they don't understand that someone else's reality can be also just as harsh. Like, I've been kicked out of a bus for speaking Russian. I've been ridiculed for speaking Russian. I've been insulted for speaking Russian. I've been bullied. And people just don't understand that. And people don't go on the news and check what's happening in Eastern Europe. It's always what's happening in the US, what's happening in the UK. And okay, let's go to the UK. Why don't people address the racism towards Eastern Europeans, to Polish people, to Romanian people, to, I don't know, Lithuanians, Latvians, Estonians, Russians, and etc. And they all go under the umbrella of white people. So it's not even that you don't want an issue of abuse to be heard. You don't want a certain voice to be heard. And that is fucked up. So it really pains me because this is happening. And sure, you can say that Lana is in the US, she comes from a position of privilege, but what about everyone else? Like, I can just sit here and tell a bunch of stories since we're talking the issue of women in relationships, which I can talk about different Eastern European. There's arranged marriages, for fuck's sake. There's paid brides. And all of that happens, and everyone finds it okay. Or like, I grew up thinking that was normal. So think if someone actually went like Lana and started singing about their position, because the idea of feminism is that every woman needs to be heard. Another idea of feminism is that everyone needs to be heard, depending on whether you're liberal or a different type of feminist, because there's many branches. So I wanted to say that when you're calling out Lana, you're silencing a lot of voices. And specifically now when she wants to resume talking about abuse. So give her her voice.